right. Deontay Wilder's trainer, JD's, or manager, trainer, JD's, says they ain't exactly too excited about going over to the UK to fight anybody, thanks to Dillian, the dope fiend, doing dope. Let's talk about what they had to say, what Deontay Wilder's team had to say about fighting in the UK in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, special thank you to everybody that supports the channel through the memberships, which you can click, which are right down there if you're a member of the LDBC, and also the Patreon and the live stream community. Make sure you come to OG Boxing Talk on Sunday mornings, our weekending show where we wrap up the Florida boxing, the weekend boxing. Obviously, this week we're going to be talking about the Terrence Crawford, Egis Kalvanakis fight, as well as the Richard Comey versus Teofimo Lopez lightweight IBF title fight. So, let's get into this. Deontay Wilder's trainer is JD's, and JD was talking about whether or not he would go over to the UK to fight Dillian Whyte or fight Anthony Joshua. And he said that, they don't really have an issue with traveling. They don't have a problem with being road warriors, getting on the road, going places, but they're not certain about the UK, and the UK would have to give them a lot of assurances that they are not going to cheat. And he specifically pointed out Dillian Whyte and the fact that Dillian Whyte tested positive for D-ball, regardless of whether or not the WADA the UCAD cleared him or not. And he mentioned the gloves associated with Dillian Whyte. So he's saying, look, man, the BBBOC, and those guys would really have to come to some very clear info, some really, I don't know what type of solution you can come with that. Because the fact of the matter is, Dillian Whyte tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and UCAD and the BBBOC allowed him to fight without informing the guy that he fought. Now, I'm sure in what was a meticulous investigation, but yet somehow did not include a B sample, testing a B sample. But yet, despite not testing a B sample, I'm sure it was a meticulous investigation by the same people that cleared him the first time. After this meticulous investigation, they cleared him the second time for the thing that he cleared the first time. To me, it looks like all they did is take their notes from the first meeting and hand them out. This is why we excused them the first time, and we're going to excuse them the second time for the same thing, right? So, but nobody's buying. Now, okay, I won't say nobody's buying that. There's a whole lot of UK fans, I guess, that are really looking, I don't know why, I don't know how in the world they can come up with this, but they're looking for the bright side for Dillian Whyte, but really are just happy he snuck out on the technicality. And the technicality is the rules of UCAD and the BBBOC that allow them to hold a commission. But I think they hold a meeting with it's either 3 or 7 experts, and the person that tests positive can give them an explanation. And if that panel accepts their explanation, then it's okay, move ahead with the fight, and you don't have to inform the opponent. Same thing as these guys having all these therapeutic use exemptions, because I actually have the rules. I actually have the rules for UCAD. And their rules on performance-enhancing drugs allow for a lot of exceptions for the use of performance-enhancing drugs through therapeutic use exemptions. They don't just have therapeutic use exemptions where somebody tells you ahead of time, hey, the doctors tell me that I have to take D-ball, so if you find D-ball in my system, let it fly, right? Not only do they do that, they also will give you a retroactive therapeutic use exemption, which means if you test positive, but you didn't tell them that you have had that, if you didn't get your therapeutic use exemption ahead of the fight, that if you test ahead of the test, that if you test positive, then they can interview you. You can go get a doctor to give you a therapy, to give you an excuse, and they can issue you a therapeutic use exemption after you test positive. Their performance-enhancing drug systems with that type of crap is an absolute joke. So JD's not only pointed to that, he also pointed to the fact that Dillian Whyte walked into the ring with gloves that had not been approved. The gloves that had not been approved in the fighter meeting. When the fighters, the glove meeting, when Oscar Rivas looked at the gloves and approved gloves for Dillian Whyte came in there with a third set of gloves that had not been approved. And when Oscar Rivas asked to look at the gloves, that the British Boxing Board of Controls told him no, it's too close to the fight. That is absolute and utter corruption, okay? And you just excusing yourself for your own corruption after the fact should make no difference. So, although Deontay Wilder early in his career went over there to the UK to fight Audley Harrison, I think it would be reasonable for these guys to say, you know what, nah, maybe not. Because if they're willing to do that with an Oscar Rivas fight, what would they be willing to let slide if it was Deontay Wilder? If they're going to cheat like that against a guy that Dillian Whyte should have been able to beat to begin with, what are they going to do if Deontay Wilder went over there to fight Dillian Whyte? What would they do if Deontay Wilder would fight Anthony Joshua over there? Now, note, Anthony Joshua has not looked like a killer in the ring since he left the UK. 2 fights in a row. The first of all, he's always got a janky chin, right? But he looked slow and sluggish in the first one. And the second one, he still looked like he had a suspect chin. But, you know, anyway, it is what it is with that. Deontay Wilder is pointing out, or JD's is pointing out something that is very, very reasonable. That people have to wonder about going to fight in the UK in big fights. I've been saying this for a while, specifically with Matchroom cards. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom have no qualms about having stacked judges, from what I can see, stacking the refs. I wouldn't doubt that these guys would do anything. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't doubt that they are capable of doing anything. If you're okay and able to get a guy into the ring under the influence of performance-enhancing drugs, while he's still being quote-unquote under investigation, you can set him up for a fight, for a second fight, and then just miraculously the day before the fight or 2 days before the fight, he gets cleared. Come on, man. The money that you're putting into that system means you pretty much own. He's acting as if, and it seems like he owns the British Boxing Board of Control, and they're pretty much just like a subsection of Matchroom Boxing because of the amount of money that is being brought in from those fights in Matchroom, from the Anthony Joshua fights, from the Dillian Whyte fights. So why would Deontay Wilder ever want to go over there and subject himself to that type of risk? And why would any fighter want to go over there under that type when you know you're in a situation where people can pull that type of stuff? Unless, of course, you yourself are dirty and you're just looking for and you're gonna go over there and, hey man, we're just gonna have a steroids match over there in the UK. Anyway, my take on it is that Deontay Wilder, first of all, Deontay Wilder's never going to fight Anthony Joshua. He's not going to fight him in the US. He's not going to fight him in the UK. He's not going to fight him in Saudi Arabia. He's not going to fight him on the moon. Because Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, unless Anthony Joshua's on his deathbed and that's it, Eddie Hearn ain't throwing him in the ring with Deontay Wilder. And the Dillian Whyte fight, Dillian Whyte and those guys don't have enough clout to have Deontay Wilder go over there. If Dillian Whyte is going to fight Deontay Wilder, it's going to be in the United States. Because Deontay Wilder, and I think it's funny, I can't wait to hear the reactions and to explain to me how Dillian Whyte is a bigger star than Deontay Wilder. Though anyway, the whole thing is just shameful. Absolutely shameful. Let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out. Peace.